Ba-boom. Ba-boom. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm happy that it's done. It's finished. One way or the other. These things can drag on, but with Copa America, well, how many weeks away now? 5 weeks away? With France and the Netherlands, well, far less than that away. But Canada needed a men's national head coach, didn't they? And they have one now. Jesse Marsch, as was reported numerous times, as being a front runner, although there were reports that he was close to the South Korean job, which reportedly he was, but he chose Canada, which is something. Okay, where do we start with this one? Craig?
The Korean job was an agent just chatting. That wasn't even on the table.
It was smoke and mirrors?
Yeah.
It wasn't offered to him?
No.
All right. Okay. I didn't know that. See, we're breaking stuff right now. Craig, last time we spoke about this, we had quite the conversation. Your concern was with the passport. Do you still have concerns about the passport? The fact that it's an American passport?
Well, I might have to say that it just shows my influence on this decision process, right? He's a really good guy. I like him. We went going back to when he was with the Impact, and he was great with the media, and he knows the game. He's knowledgeable. He's been around. But I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, and I would have to ask too, like, what's really the difference between him and Morrow, other than the fact that maybe he presented himself better or sold himself better. There's not a lot of difference. Both played in the MLS, coached in the MLS. Morrow obviously assisting with John Herdman, and I think he'll be involved in some level. And Jesse mentioned that too, Marsch, about Morrow being involved, and that would be a smart move, obviously, because he knows the team inside and out. So it's pretty valuable.
But I would think that Morrow, his interview was not so much, in New York or wherever these interviews happen. It was the last few months when he was actually in charge of the team. And in charge of the team with some pretty
rehearsal, right?
Yeah, right. He did. He literally had a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
And the team didn't play very well in those matches. So Dubs, do you think that is more the case of why Morrow wasn't extended or that interim had taken off? It's not. We all know he's a great guy, and he's got the history and he knows the landscape so well. But the bottom line is, coaching this team, the team didn't play that well.
No, it didn't. But he did get them over the line when it was required, when they had to get into Copa. That was that do or die game against Trinidad and Tobago. So he delivered on that and made some brave decisions prior to that in terms of the roster, going with a younger group, leaving some veterans out. But I think probably having that interim tag and having the team when they were underperforming worked against him in the long run. Because if he was just a candidate like Jesse Marsch, maybe we're talking about Morrow getting handed the reins to this team. Who knows? But going back to what Forrest was saying about, they have a similar pedigree, similar kind of, playing history in MLS and winning reputation. But I think what Jesse Marsch, I don't know him personally, but speaking to guys who are coached by him, who know him well, is that he's a wonderful communicator. So I think that what he brings to the team in that regard as a head coach is maybe a take in the pro column for him that kind of bumps him up a little bit. But it's also impressive when you're in the same room with him, right? Perhaps he's the more charming candidate.
Jimmy, he said a number of times in today's press conference, he used the word dynamic. He likes dynamic football, high press, transition with pace. And that's why he thought it really fit into this current group of players as well. So from a tactical standpoint, what we've seen Jesse Marsch do in Montreal, obviously, at the Red Bull organization, with Leeds as well. Don't forget, he was also an assistant coach of Bob Bradley as well. Do you see it being a tactical fit?
Yeah, I can see it. Look, I played against Jesse Marsch when he was at Chivas. He was a competitor. He worked hard. He was honest the way that he played. And you could see it's kind of a reflection of who he is when he coaches as well, because his teams were like that. His teams were honest. They worked hard. They were organized. And everywhere that he went, they played a decent brand of football. They really did. And he's worked with some big-time players as well, and I think that will help. Now, at the international level, we don't know. because it's a different ballgame altogether. But at the domestic level, he's got good pedigree, and he's done well, and he's developed a lot of players. And you're right, Dubs. I think he probably did show well, and he's a very good communicator. And I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why they like him.
It's also a very good sell for Major League Soccer, and if the rumors or the news is true about Major League Soccer getting involved with paying his salary, it's a good play on them, hiring a former MLS player, former MLS coach. It's, the values of these franchises are $350 million. They bought them for 10, 20 million. So it's and look good doing it too. People are going to be, hey, that's great. MLS is getting involved in it, but it's a sell. And if it works out well, great. It works out for everybody. If it doesn't, hope you had a good World Cup, Canada.
Let me read this excerpt from the press release today. The appointment of Marsch is assisted by major philanthropic contributions from the owners of the 3 Canadian-based MLS clubs, Vancouver Whitecaps with Joey Saputo, MLSE, and supplemented by other private donors. Did I mention the Whitecaps there as well? Yeah, they're in there. In recognition of their significant philanthropic support, Marsch's position will be formally titled as, I just love this, the MLS Canada men's national team head coach. So we can't say head coach anymore. Okay. It's MLS head coach. Getting their greasy paws all over international football now as well. Yeah. Listen, we're not going to call him MLS head coach, but I understand this. This comes, Dubs, from college sports in the States, where, of course, Kevin Blue cut his corporate feet, so to speak. Cut his feet. he may have cut his feet. I probably his teeth is a better word to use.
Maybe some plantar's warts. You never know. I mean, you got to wear the shower shoes, right? Like
you got
to take precautions. Kevin
you don't
Blue.
want a verruca.
Verruca salt. I like them.
No, yeah, are they around still?
I don't know.
Salt?
Whoa! Leave me.
Wow, that's a new
here.
Little Mac, little
cool.
treat for us.
But I was trying to get in a line there. I was saying that Kevin Blue, even though he cut his teeth in the NCAA circuit, is a Stanford guy and comes from American colleges, is taking a page out of our Dan Wong's book, because Dan Wong has long since been on Twitter as Dan Wong, brought to you by the blue check mark, or brought to you by or some organic betting company, right? So yeah. I think this title attached to Jesse Marsch now, as long as these MLS Canadian franchises are attached to it and funding it per se, along with some other private donors, it should be noted that perhaps they took inspiration from our own Dan Wong.
I doubt it, though. I highly doubt it. Honestly, we love our Wonger, but if Canada Soccer is looking to Wonger for inspiration,
yeah. Ooh, but I mean, it's innovative, right? He did say that he was going to be creative, and he was going to boost that commercial sector and the philanthropic sector. So I think this is him sort of delivering on his first kind of promise, as much as I think it sounds pretty pompous, to use your word from the dark web. But I mean, if this brings in the candidate that you want, this is maybe being creative with what's at your disposal, right?
Oh, I agree with that.
I think he's great.
I think he's done a great job as far as that goes. I mean, you nailed it, Dubs. He's delivered on that.
It can be both great and pompous at the same time, though. Not pompous on the part of Canada Soccer at all. That's creative. That's modern thinking. That's clever. But certainly from the MLS side, we're giving money, but it's like having your name on a hospital wing, isn't it? A little bit. It's like, yeah, great. Thank you for the money. It's fantastic, but do you really need that? Really? Is that going to make a big difference?
But it's not the wing. It would be like you're sponsoring the bed that moves up and down with the remote. I don't think it's as grandiose as the wing.
I think Jesse Marsch is more of a wing than a bed.
Is he a good wing man? Would be the other discussion.
He was a midfielder.
Well, I don't mean a winger. I just mean like at the bar.
I don't know. I honestly, you got to afford these people somehow, right? And John Herdman, as we've said over and over again, hit the tarmac, knocked on doors, raised money. He's now gone, and Kevin Blue's doing the same thing and finding ways to raise money. These guys don't come cheap, right, Jimmy? It's not perhaps the money that people might think in international football for a coach, but Jesse Marsch isn't going to come and sign away the next 2 years of his life to Canadian football without being compensated appropriately.
Yeah, of course. He wants the value that he's worth. And he's not going to come here for the cheap, because he would have just stayed over in Europe. I mean, he's based in Italy. That's where his house is. That's where he lives. So for him to pick up and leave and come work for Canada for next to nothing, why? He's got a good resume in club football. He'll get another job easily in Europe if he wanted. So it's another challenge, but he's got to be paid his value and what he's worth. So I don't see why not. And yeah, it will be good money for sure. It will be, especially if you got the all 3 MLS clubs investing money in it. Then you've got a private sector putting money into it as well. It's not cheap. They're going to pay some good money for him, but that's what we wanted. We wanted a coach with a bit of pedigree.
What do you think John would have done if the salary was the same as Jesse Marsch's salary? Because John wasn't paid probably. Well, I don't believe he was paid what his worth was for the CSA, but I wonder if his decision would have been different if they came with a big paycheck.
Yeah. Do you know the thing is too, Craig? Just on this, and it happens in football all the time. If you end up coming through the system, or you're a coach that was in the academy and you end up becoming the coach of the first team, your value is never the same as what it is when somebody else gets brought into a club. So whether you're there 5 years, 6 years, and you're on a certain amount of money, you seem to get capped. And we've seen it with a lot of players as well, that with clubs for a certain period of time, where players that are coming in or getting bought are getting paid more. So maybe because John was here the whole time, he couldn't have asked for what he wanted. Whereas Jesse Marsch, okay, you want me? This is what I want now. And now you're going to have to pay it.
Yeah, he's a UFA, isn't he? UFA in sports, so an unrestricted free agent, are always overpaid.
Always.
Because they got a choice of more than one. And listen, if he played the South Korea angle, good for him. If he played it and put the pressure on Canada to come to the table with the right money, that's just how the game's played, isn't it? I think. Jimmy mentioned pedigree there, Craig. So I mentioned the assistant to Bob Bradley, 2010 World Cup. So he's seen international football, Montreal, Red Bull organization, Leipzig most recently, Leeds, where he kept the team up in a really trying season. Bielsa leaves. In comes Jesse Marsch, and I remember covering that season closely, and we thought he did a very good job, all things considered. Didn't work out the next year. Does he fulfill the pedigree that this organization, I wouldn't say deserves, but needs?
Well, if you're going to say, is he the best candidate out there on the planet at the moment? No. There's certainly guys out there that are older, sort of more experienced, have done more in the game internationally for sure. But at the same time, I think his offensive style of play will suit us, Canada. At the same time, I will say that defensively, it'll leave us quite open, because if he was playing like Leeds United, with better defenders, by the way, at the international level, we might score 4, but we might concede 5. But it'll be exciting.
So you know what you're going to get kind of tactically, right? You're going to get like against the balls, high pressing style, where you said high risk, but potentially high reward, winning the ball in dangerous areas and getting opportunities on goal. But is it more about what he's going to pull out of this group and what he instills in terms of culture? Like, I think a lot of the chatter about John leaving, and you alluded to it earlier, Forrest, about if he had been offered a little bit more money, if things maybe were a little bit healthy in terms of what's happening at the Federation, would he have stuck around? But then I think the devil's advocate, or the counterpoint to that, is, had John kind of hit his ceiling in terms of what he was able to pull out of this group in terms of maximizing their talent, especially with the generation of talent that he had at his disposal. So is Marsch the guy that's going to do that? So tactics aside, is he the character? Is he the personality? Is he the motivator? Perhaps not that John was, but just, is he going to be able to extract every ounce of talent that this current pool of players have?
I think he has every possibility to do exactly that. I think he's excellent at doing that. Like I say, I think when I've met him on a few occasions, he's very impressive, no question.
Can we, though, make a request that we don't fall into this culture brotherhood. You know, I don't know. I understand why it's been a big part of Canadian football for the last couple of years, and you understand that what John did. But I'm so bored of it. I get it. Let's reinvent the culture. Let's get some fucking results on the pitch. How about that?
Right. There you go.
Good show,
Please.
brother.
Yeah. You know what?
But it's about getting them engaged, right?
That's exactly what would happen in the dressing room. Some of the lads would certainly back in our day would go, let's fuck all this shit. Like we can be the best team culturally. Oh, we're brothers and all this bullshit. Well, put the ball in the friggin' net.
Yeah.
Or keep it out. Yeah.
Or keep it out. Just fucking go do it.
I mean, I'm not criticizing, what's being done. It just seems that that's been the stuffed down our throats for so long now, right? Let's just look at the football on the pitch. There's good players in this team. And he mentioned it, last week he was asked about seeing Fonzie score that incredible goal for I almost said Real Madrid. That'll be next year for Bayern Munich. John Davis scored a couple over the weekend as well. Taja Buchanan scores for Inter Milan, right? There's quality. We know that. There's great quality in that half of the pitch. But you do need to defend as well. Can he recruit, right? And maybe his personality can help recruit. Although he a few times mentioned in today's press conference, he brought Kevin Blue's name up and said, this guy is very, very convincing. So when I recruit, if I do half as good a job as Kevin Blue did recruiting me, we'll be in good shape here. So they're seeming on the same page. We got a new look to Canada soccer right now, don't we? Which I think was
that's what everybody wanted, right?
Yep. Well, now you got it, all right?
Now we got it. So let's get behind him and
stop your whining.
Support.
Yeah, let's see.
Well, I want to know.
Craig Forrest can get behind this guy. He's an American. You can get behind him.
There you go. Hey, Forrest said, anyone but a Yank.
You know what? We'll get him on here one day, and you can plug him like that. But
you can yank his chain.
He might agree deep down. He might be like, "What the fuck did they sign an American for? I can't believe it."
Well,
maybe I was hire a Canadian.
I was looking at the men's head coaches over the years for Canada, and there's been no Americans, but there's been more foreigners than Canadians.
Yeah,
got a few Brits.
Yeah, can you guys name every Canadian men's? Sorry. Let me rephrase that. Can you name every MLS Canada men's head coach? Can you?
Jesse Marsch.
Yes, you got one down there. Let's go. Let me pull it up here. Hang on, let me pull it up here.
What do you mean by that?
All right, so the first
Sharms, before while you have it, but I'm gonna still step in anyway. I want to know if Bev Priestman will also get a fancy tagline and sponsor for Bev Priestman women's national team coach.
That didn't take long, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, did you have a side bet going for us?
The show. Well, I want to know though, and I didn't get a chance to ask today.
Good question.
We'll get him on with pay equity in Canadian soccer now. Does Bev get the same deal as Jesse Marsch? How does that work? I'm very curious. But we don't know the answer to that, so we won't discuss it. So Tony Waiters, he coached. Let's what are you laughing at?
Look at the runner.
What style of red wine is Jimmy drinking? What can you votes? No, I think it's a Cab Sauv.
Yes, it is.
Is it? Is it McManus?
Yes.
It matches his shirt.
Or Josh?
No.
What is his teeth?
Law, J Law. It's not Yellowtail, isn't it? Yellowtail?
You're close though.
That's what I'm thinking.
B&B.
Oh, you're a bunch of alcoholics on
Wicked easy.
Bread and butter.
Bread and butter. That's nice wine, bread and butter.
One. Yeah. I like that one.
You can really taste the bread and butter in it, can't you? I like it.
Really
okay, so who was Coach of Canada's men's, the MLS Canada men's coach prior to Tony Waiters? Because we'll start there because you guys played since then, so you'll know everyone. Prior to Tony Waiters, there were 5 different MLS men's head coaches.
No, MLS wasn't around then. You can't call them that.
Just humor me. Humor me.
Okay, go. What's the question? Hurry up.
Can you name all the Canadian men's national teams?
Prior to Tony Waiters.
I can.
You got the first one ever, 1957.
I'll give you a few.
Okay.
Hold your odds.
No, we know you can get them after
Before
Tony
no.
Waiters.
No.
No? Okay. I'll help you out. Don Petrie.
Not that I wasn't even a spark on my
1957.
dad's pants back then.
Don
see you
Petrie,
love the
57.
history of the
He was
game.
in charge for 11 years. And then Peter Dinsdale. Frank
Peter
Pike.
Dinsdale. Oh,
Yep.
The
For
late
2
When's that
years.
in the
Dinsdale.
60s?
Yep, 68 to 70.
Yeah.
Frank
English
Pike.
guy. He lived in Vancouver for the rest of his life, actually. Real
Oh, yeah?
estate.
And our first German
Friend
coach.
Alex McKechnie, sorry.
The first German coach, not Holger Osiek. The first German coach was Eckhard Krautzen.
Oh, really nice guy.
Yeah. Not much of a sense of
He
humor,
was
though.
I think he was a cobbler part time.
Do you?
A blind
Cobbler.
cobbler.
Eckhard Krautzen. I'll fix
He's
your
a
shoes.
cobbler.
Barry Clark, Canadian boy, for
Yeah.
3 years. And that was he was prior to Tony Waiters. We
Nice.
had obviously a few stints, right? 81 to 85, 85 to 86, and then 90 to 91. So there you have it.
I was
Those
going to
are
say, I
interesting.
think people have turned off the podcast now.
Tony Waiters is my coach, actually, back in the day.
Yeah.
Really?
My first coach, yeah.
hmm Anyway, listen, that's it. It's a little short pod, just a little emergency pod talking about today's news. Finally, it's done, and it's intriguing signing. I don't think you can really criticize it at this point. I think it's a good name. He's got a brand. He's got great. He's got a good football personality for the media, and he's got, I wouldn't say great success as a manager, but he's been in some pretty tricky situations too. And like we said, his brand of football seems to gel with the type of football that this team can play. So the jury's out, as they say, but it's coming up pretty quick. What he can accomplish between now and Netherlands and France in the beginning of June, I don't know. But anyway, that was it. Thanks, Dubs. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
JC.
All positive.
Thanks.
It's great being positive.
It is. Yep, it is.
I
Until
didn't
next
start
time.
off that way, but
You didn't know. No, it's straight away.
USA.
Stop that. Stop it.